Were the victims of the Atlantic slave trade actually Hebrew Israelites? Hello everyone, my name is Taharka Ade, an Africologist, scholar of Africa and the African diaspora. And many of you may have heard the claim that black people in the Americas are actually the descendants of Hebrew Israelites sold off during the Atlantic slave trade. And in many circles, that claim largely hinges on an interpretation of Deuteronomy 28:68. Here's the verse in question. In verse 68, it states, "The Lord will bring you back in ships to Egypt, by a route that I promised you would never see again. And there you shall offer yourselves for sale to your enemies as male and female slaves, but there will be no buyer." And people have used this verse to come to the wildly erroneous conclusion that this must be talking about the Atlantic slave trade, and that the people who were taken weren't Africans, but they were Israelites. But that verse doesn't say that people will be taken to the Americas. It says that people will be taken back to Egypt. And not only that, it says that you will offer up yourselves as slaves, but there will be no buyer. That is the complete opposite of the Atlantic system, where Africans were very famously bought. In fact, there were mass buyers, auction markets, plantation demand, and a whole finance and shipping economy built around it. The Atlantic system pulled people from many different African societies, different languages, regions, spiritual systems, and different identities that deserve to be respected. Collapsing all of that into Hebrew Israelites and not these diverse African groups erases real African history and is quite frankly very disrespectful to the people who were enslaved. The Black Hebrew Israelite movement is an American-born movement shaped by late 19th century biblical interpretation, especially the holiness and Pentecostal church traditions. There's also Ethiopianism, a sprinkle of black nationalism, and later black religious currents that led to the development of what we now call the Hebrew Israelite movement. It's a modern identity movement, not a demonstrated family tree. There's no solid historical or genealogical evidence that African Americans have a direct ancestral lineage to ancient Israel via West Africa, as these claims suggest. Were the victims of the Atlantic slave trade?
Oh boy. Shalom. Giving all praise, honor, and glory to Heavenly Father's only God and Son, Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Rakakwadash. Double honors to our apostles and elders of Great Millstone for teaching us this truth according to the Bible and her will. And us Shalom, our sincere Akim. Throughout the four corners of the earth, pushing this truth through diligence and sincerity and in charity. And us Shalom to all you sincere followers, believers of Yahweh Shai, Shai, not just hear the word, but do as well. You men, women, and children, and hopeful elect, Shalom. And Jake, that effeminate Jake, soft ass Jake, man, Jake just don't believe. Jake refuses to be anything but a African, man. All right, and that mentality is gonna perish here with America, man. When America goes, that I'm black, y'all. I'm Afro-American. I'm African-American. I'm back to Africa. All that shit's gonna burn here when America goes, man. All right, but Jake had a misunderstanding of the scriptures, and when you go into Deuteronomy 28, all right, this will be a curse that will befall the Lord's people. All right, when you read Deuteronomy 28, 1 through 14, it tells you the things that the Lord will bless us if we kept, His word, His laws, statutes, and commandments. And then 15 on down, it tells you that there will be curses. Now, when you go to Deuteronomy 28 and 68, it says, "And the Lord," and this is in the KJV. I forgot what version he was reading, but even that doesn't even make sense. Why would someone offer themselves as slaves? He don't believe that. He can't believe that. Who in their right mind will offer themselves as slaves to go through those harsh conditions that they were going through? If they offered themselves as slaves, why the hell were they being rounded up? Wouldn't they just go on their free will? Deuteronomy 28:68, "And the Lord shall bring thee into Egypt, All right, what was the Israelites doing in Egypt? Patty cake bakers, man. All right, well, Jake was idol worshiping, but we were serving hardcore captivity up under our enemies. And the same thing's happening now. We are in captivity up under our enemies. Baruch, the 3rd chapter. Behold, we are yet this day in our captivity. But thou hast scattered us. Deuteronomy 28:68, and the Lord will bring thee into Egypt again with ships. Modern day Egypt is America. You didn't have America in the lingo back then. Of course you're not going to see America back then. Jake is simple, man. Proverbs 4 says, wisdom is the principal thing, therefore get wisdom. With all thy getting, get understanding. And we, through our apostles and elders of Great Millstone on down, have been giving you understanding for the longest, man. But Jake refused it. Jake don't want to hear that. Nothing good came out of Africa but the Israelites, man. Yeah, they got is a land full of resources, but what made Africa great and all these other nations great was us being scattered amongst them, man. Deuteronomy 28:68, and the Lord shall bring thee into Egypt again with ships, cargo slave ships. By the way whereof I spake unto thee, thou shalt see it again no more. Talking about the homeland. And there ye shall be sold unto your enemies for bondmen and bondwomen, and no man shall buy you. No man's going to redeem you. No man's going to get you out of that situation. You're going to have to hold that. And we held that, man. We drunk of the cup. Now the enemy's going to have to drink of that cup, man. The enemy's going to have to drink of that cup, man. Let's see here. It says, right, bondmen and bondwomen, those are slaves, man. Let's get a precept. This is Jeremiah 17, and 4. It says, and thou even thyself shalt discontinue from thy heritage. That I gave thee, and I will cause thee to serve thy enemies in a land which thou knowest not, for ye have kindled a fire in my anger which shall burn forever. So one of the reasons why this Jake feels the way he feels is that's prophecy. The Lord said, you shall discontinue from your heritage. Jake's not calling themselves Israelites. They're calling themselves black, African American. You Latinos are calling yourselves white. Right? You have discontinued. But what did the Lord say? I spelled that right. I think that's in Jude. This is Jude 1:5. It says, I will therefore put you in remembrance, though you once knew this, how the Lord, having saved the people out of the land of Egypt. Right? With Moses leading the way. Afterwards destroyed them that believed not. And he was part of that flock that didn't believe, man. That didn't believe. They wanted to go back to Egypt. Jake just can't get off of Egypt. They can't get off of Africa, man. Just can't get off of it, man. Was it the ox know of his owner? What's that, Isaiah? It says, the ox knoweth his owner, and the ass his master's crib, but Israel doeth not know, my people doeth not consider. Because if you did a deep research, looked up words, you will understand that, look, yeah, that you know, the transatlantic slave trade is in the Bible. That happened to the Israelites. That happened to the so-called blacks, Latinos, Native American Indians. All right, and I got to be somewhere real quick, so I'm just going to cut it right here. All right, Lord will be back with another one. Lord will, let's edify. Next time I say shalom.